Before we move on to the content, I want you guys to take a minute, pause the video if you want to, and pick 2 or 3 of these policy issues and write down your preference. And this would be your preference for policy. So do you think taxes should be high or low, for example? Do you think education funding should be higher or lower? Where do you think it should come from? So I want you guys to write down your policy preferences for 2 or 3 of these issues. And then once you're done doing that, move on or push play on the video to go to the next part. So hopefully you've written down your policy preferences, and some of you might have already known this, but when we talk about policy preferences, usually those preferences fall to one side or the other in ideology. So you can have right-leaning ideology, which is conservative, or left-leaning ideology, which is liberal. And most of the time, our policy preferences show that. They show what our ideology is. And so maybe you wrote down taxes and education funding, and you said that taxes should be low, but education funding should be high. Okay, in those 2 instances, lower taxes, okay, is usually a conservative idea. But higher education funding is a liberal idea. And really, it's contrary to lower taxes because education is primarily funded through local property taxes. And so a lot of times when we talk about our policy preferences, when we talk about politics, we express an opinion without thinking about how it aligns with the rest of our opinions, how it aligns with the rest of our preferences. And so that's how sometimes you can have people who say that, yes, we need more education funding, but no, we need lower taxes. Okay, they don't realize that those 2 things are actually connected. All right, but that's not what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about right now is ideology. And so a lot of times people will use the terms liberals and conservatives interchangeably with Democrats and Republicans. And that is not right, okay? Democrats are liberals and Republicans are conservatives, but they are not the only liberals or conservatives. And so using those 2 terms interchangeably, okay, is not correct. And so usually we, as society, divide between these 2 lines, okay? We are either liberal or conservative, and sometimes we have people in the middle who are called moderates. Liberals generally favor government action or government intervention in society. They view change in policy or in society as progress, and they have a more collectivist view of society. They want to help groups, they want to help the communities. On the other side, we have conservatives who generally favor limited government. They don't want the government to intervene in their daily lives. They don't want the government to make policy and restrictions. They're also very cautious about change. They are much more traditional than liberals usually. They are also more religious than liberals are. But those descriptions also tell us how they feel about policy. So if we know that liberals generally favor government action, then we also know that government action takes a lot of money, and so liberals are going to be more supportive of higher taxes. Conservatives, on the other hand, they generally favor a limited government that doesn't have a lot to do with society, and so because of that, government doesn't need money, so they favor low taxes. And they're also very cautious about change. They want to stick to the status quo. When it comes to policy, they don't want policy to be changed. They want to keep it traditional. And these might just sound like descriptors, but a lot of times, especially now in 2023, we find that ideology or political party are really it's the dividing line, okay, between the us and the them. And so we will be talking a lot about ideology and the impact that it has on government and its ability to do its job, whether they can actually make policy because of ideology. But what you need to know now, okay, is that every political issue, like the political issues that I listed on the last slide, they are going to have two different points of views about how to achieve that, okay, or how not to achieve that. There's going to be supporters or non-supporters, and those ideas about the same policy are usually based on ideology, and ideology creates the biggest division between groups within society in the United States.